There are a few salient areas, this year that we uncover. For example, we are actually seeing a strong focus, by the CIOs in cloud computing technologies. I think that focus actually spans, contrary to belief, in the industry. They actually focus on both the hybrid, cloud model, meaning the public and the private. So over 40% are very keen, to explore those areas. The other salient areas that we discover is also executives in corporate environment are leveraging social networks, for helping them in decision makings, right? Beyond intranet information. So I think those are pretty salient areas. Governments and other organizations are actually leveraging these social platforms to engage with the stakeholders, right? So to the extent that now there are actually committees actually set up, right, and different departments enacted to serve those, different. For a start, all these organizations needs to keep abreast, right, of their existing, assets, talents, and resource. At the same time, be alert, to what is out there in the marketplace. For example, I think today we highlighted the agility. Is a major force factor, right, in organization, because you no longer take a year or half a year, right, to innovate on your business applications. The pace today is really rapid, to the extent that some of the leading organizations are just taking weeks, to build up their new business applications. Now, for one, I think there are reasons, because business users, for one, is turning outside the organization, right, to find out new platform that can actually help them to do their job a lot faster. And I think that in turn force IT to change. So going forward, we believe that there's going to be a major force, driving both parties going forward. There are different roles now surfacing. Like in the past, you don't see those roles. For example, like social market evangelists, for example. Cloud architects, for example. There are so many of all those new areas that's entering the fray of their IT department, right? So again, the operational characteristics of IT department is also morphing, quite a bit in enterprise. So IT CIOs, for example, they really have to keep abreast of what they don't want to keep it as a key focus, within the organization, because harnessing all these so-called the new entities, right, of the emerging world can definitely help them to create and innovate, so-called black swan revenue. I think CIOs, for one, is getting more and more immersed, with the business function, right? You see in our survey that CIOs is getting a lot more hands-on on the business side, and for one, CIOs will definitely have to leverage a lot more specific or rather specialized vendors, right, to help them leapfrog competitors. That's one of the reasons why you started to see CIOs forming a pretty tight-knitted ecosystem, right, kind of relationship with the vendor. I think that is healthy, but overall, CIOs must also be daring now, really, to voice out their requirements and help shape vendor products in the landscape. The top tier CIOs, we are seeing that kind of characteristics in the execution, which is good, because I think, frankly speaking, the vendors needs a lot of help, from all these CIOs in shaping up the next generation product. Technology spans a large area. I'm actually seeing a lot of disruption now, particularly in how organizations consolidate, their resource, and at the same time distributing that access, right, to that resource. The whole stack of the IT needs to be revisited. For example, like this year, we talk about using Ethernet as a platform, for delivery. That has never occurred to organization, right? Because Ethernet is essentially, unreliable. For example, how do you basically virtualize, your even your core business applications? Now we are starting to see organizations getting 100% virtualized, right, in the environment. So I think a big disruption will occur, as all these organizations start leveraging all these emerging technologies and netting those, into their DNA of their process, because for one, they really have to reconsider the existing regulatory kind of compliance, and the market so-called rules, on their operations as they leverage this technology. And as an example, business continuity planning. If you're actually leveraging and consolidating all your work in one nest, right? What happens when that data center goes down? So in Asia, that disruption also partly occurs because there are a number of cloud computing vendors, right, and data centers nesting in Asia now, right? So I think the implication is clear. If your competitors are actually leveraging that, to leapfrog you, you better change.